What's up, people? In this video we are going to talk about anecdotal evidence versus science, and why anecdotal evidence is better than science, and why anybody who tells you that science is better than anecdotal evidence is a loser and stupid, and you should not listen to them. And yeah, I hate them. Okay, so go comment on their videos, angry stuff, or don't, I don't really care. Okay, so we're gonna jump into that right now, but first, if you have not subscribed to my channel, click that subscribe button down there. Also, go check out legendarysuitjammers.com. They make pimped out silk pajamas that look like suits, just like this one that I did a very bad job ironing today. Check them out, link in the description, maybe buy one, I don't know, do your thing. Okay, so anecdotal evidence versus science. So if you've watched any of my other videos, and I put them out every day, by the way, but if you've watched any of them, most of the ones where I talk about like health or fitness or nutrition or losing weight, I don't really give you guys a lot of scientific studies and, oh, this was they did a study at the University of Maryland that said blah, blah, blah. You notice that I don't do that. Okay, now part of that, I'm not gonna lie, part of that is just laziness on my part, because I don't wanna sit here with like a pad and paper and have to like fact check everything in my mind to make a video, okay? And thank God I don't have to do that. Thank God there's no like law on YouTube about doing that, because I probably wouldn't make videos if I had to do that. So that's the first reason that I do it. The second reason is that I honestly don't think it's important to state all of the, like cite all of these resources and like, or cite these sources and basically back up whatever is obviously true with some scientific study that may or may not have been proven, you know, in some university or some laboratory somewhere. Now, I will say that science does play a part, and it is important, and it has given birth to this beautiful modern world that we live in today. We'll get into that later, but the problem is that people treat science as a religion, and that if something is not backed up by science, or if there is a lack of evidence supporting the claim, not evidence proving the claim wrong, a lack of evidence supporting the claim, okay? There's a difference. I'll make another video about that, okay? But basically the point is that science is limited by the amount of scientists in the world and the amount of funding that they have to perform these studies. Now, who's gonna give them the funding? Either the government or corporations. Corporations trying to sell something. Governments, you know, who knows why they do what they do, okay? To just, I don't know, who knows? But it's not out of like the common good of the people, which is probably what, you know, you might think if you're very naive. But anyway, it's a topic for another time. So why am I saying that anecdotal evidence is better than science? Like, what does this have to do with my original point? Well, if there's a limited source of information about why things are the way they are, then you can't reliably rely on that information to prove a point or to back up whatever points you have. Now, that's a fancy way of saying, at the end of the day, who really cares what some scientist studied if you can see with your own two eyes that it's true. Okay, in other words, if there was no such thing as science, if there were no such thing as scientists, but you noticed that every time you, for example, ate raw meat instead of eating cooked meat, that you felt amazing, or you felt better, or you had better bowel movements, or you had more energy, or you performed better in your athletic activities, you could argue, you could make the case that eating raw meat is better for you, right? And you hear me say that all the time. Now, I haven't like gone out and studied, interviewed people talking about, oh, you eat raw meat and you say it's better? Like, let me write that down in my little notebook and use that as a source next time. I don't need to, okay? And if you are trying to get in shape, and I'm saying like actually trying to get in shape, not just watching a bunch of videos on YouTube about getting in shape, but not actually trying to get in shape. Like, if you're actually trying, then I would encourage you to adopt this attitude of kind of disregarding what science says only as the final conclusion, okay? And what am I trying to say? Science is not the last word, okay? It's entirely possible that science can say one thing, anecdotal evidence can say something completely different, and the science will be wrong, okay? You have to accept that that is something that can happen. Okay, now I was going to save this for another video, but I might as well just talk about it now. There's a difference between absence of evidence and evidence of absence. So in other words, what you hear a lot in the scientific community, anytime some new supplement comes out or some drug or some whatever herb that claims to do something, you hear a lot of evidence, or you hear a lot of stuff on TV and blogs and stuff that says there's no evidence of this doing what they say it does. Okay, there's no scientific evidence that backs up the claim that, you know, this herb boosts testosterone. Okay, now if you dissect that, if you look at it very carefully, what it really means is that there are no scientific studies that have proven, no double-blind, unbiased scientific studies that have proven that this herb, boosts testosterone, for example. Okay, that's all that means. That does not mean that there are scientific studies that prove that this herb does not boost testosterone. Okay, so it's a little bit of tricky wordplay there, but you'd be surprised how many times this pops up in the scientific community. So what you have to understand is that science is not this like 100%, not ambiguous, but unbiased field where everything is unpolitical or non-political and pure at heart, and there aren't these people that have these little side motivations to prove something right or prove something wrong. Okay, it's tainted. Now again, I'm not saying the earth is flat or that Santa Claus is real, okay, I'm not going that far. What I'm encouraging you to do is when you're making decisions about your health, that you take a practical approach to it and not a scientific approach. Okay, I can guarantee you, okay, 100% guarantee that I've done no research on. I can 100% guarantee you that the keyboard warriors on the internet who claim to know all these scientific facts about when your body gets into ketosis and when, autophagy starts happening, and I don't know, how many grams of protein are in this or how many grams of carbs, whatever, all these people that know all this stuff, they're in worse shape than the people who follow a practical approach, okay? Because you're spending too much time, too much mental energy on all of this stuff that doesn't mean anything. Like, why? If something works, do it. If something doesn't work, then don't do it, okay? It's that simple. All right, now, I know this is not a popular opinion with a lot of people. I know everybody wants to hear facts. They want to hear reasons, and they want to know that some scientist somewhere studied something and came to this conclusion, so then that they'll feel safe to try it on their own. Okay, and it's not really until you have a few experiences where you realize that the science is totally wrong and biased and completely, just wrong, that you start to think, it's like realizing that your parents don't know everything. It's kind of like what it's like in my experience. Okay, now, when should you actually listen to science and when should you take them for, when should you take it seriously and not disregard it completely? So I would say when you're doing the initial stages of your research, it is helpful to look up some scientific stuff and see if it's worth testing, okay? So for example, if I'm looking up a new supplement to take, a new herb or a new drug, well, herbs really, I'll go on examine.com and I'll see, so examine.com is a website that aggregates all of the scientific studies about certain supplements. Okay, as far as I know, they only do supplements. I don't think they do drugs, and I don't think they do peptides and steroids and all that stuff, although they should. That would be a good idea as well, but they don't for whatever reason. However, what they do is they aggregate all of the evidence, scientific evidence about supplements, and they provide that evidence for you to kind of sift through, and they make it very easy to understand whether or not something has been scientifically proven. Okay, it doesn't mean that it doesn't mean that it doesn't work if it hasn't been scientifically proven. That's the point I want to make. However, they do make it clear if it has been scientifically proven, so you can use that as a starting point. Okay, and then you can dig deeper. You can jump into the more, the nitty-gritty details of whether or not something is actually worth researching or testing on your own. Okay, so the point of this video is basically you need to kind of reconsider what you think you know about anything that science says is true or untrue. Okay, I could give you a million more examples. Last one I'm going to give before I end this video is that rest periods, for example, or how long you should work out. You read a lot of stuff and you see a lot of quote-unquote evidence about how you should only work out for an hour, every day. Or you should only work out once a day. Or you need to eat within 30 minutes of finishing your workout, otherwise you'll lose your anabolic window. Well, like what? What does that even mean? The research would have you believe that this is the only way to do things, and if you don't do things like this, then you're doing things wrong. Okay, but you have to understand there's a million ways to skin a cat, and just because some scientists got together and did one study that quote-unquote proved that one thing was, gave a certain result, that doesn't mean that it's not worth testing on your own and seeing if it actually does that. Okay, hope that made sense. I'm a little distracted trying to walk around and talk with all this new stuff going on, not in my little neighborhood. But hopefully you guys got to see some very interesting bushes in streets and random Japanese people. Cool, so if you like that video, subscribe, leave me a comment, let me know what you think about the nutritional science community. Tell me what you think about anecdotal evidence versus science. Am I right that anecdotal evidence is better? Is science actually better and I'm wrong? And also, do you know how to iron shirts? And can you come iron this shirt for me? That I got from legendarysuitjamas.com. Check them out, link in the description. Peace.